Senator, it is incorrect. I did go out of state. I did spend some time at a wonderful resort called Fort Benning, Georgia. And you got to be careful about Annika. She went on the first Kilimanjaro climb last year. John Tabor was on that climb. And when they got to the top, some guy named Bob Wilson got down on his knees and proposed to him and said, "Will you marry me?" And she had a very astute answer. She said, "I have cold feet." So, you have to know who you're. You still have cold feet? But anyway, I thank you, and I thank you for your reception. If you don't like me as district governor, you got to blame, where's Mike, our newest member, because he was on the district nominating committee. In fact, that committee, it varies each year. 6 past presidents of clubs, 4 past district governors will be meeting a week from Saturday to elect another district governor nominee in the chamber. Rotary is very good at planning long-range and succession planning. Ken Dresser from the North Mecklenburg Club will succeed me July 1. Then the following July 1, Jack Setzer from Mount Holly, and then the person that the committee selects and to present to the district will be nominated a week from Saturday. So you see we do have a well-planned process. Normally, when I go to a club to speak, I say I'm here because I gotta be here. To this club, I can't really do that since this is my home club, but I am here representing the president of Rotary International, a guy named Ron Burton, who was here back for the $1 Million Dinner, which a number of you were present. We thank you for your contributions and support of that event. John Tabor was the operational chair of that event, and he needs to be recognized for the good job that he did on that event. Behind John Tabor on that was Sandy, who really did all the work. But what is the whole point of Rotary? The whole point of Rotary is to do good. That's why we're here. Although I tell people that there are plenty of nonprofits you can go to work for. And they do a lot of good things. And a number of those nonprofits are represented in this room today, as exemplified by Crisis Assistance Ministry, whom this club supports. Come the morning of December 25th, the Charlotte Rescue Mission, who this club supports, by helping to serve breakfast that morning, starting at 5:15 a.m. And if you would like to join us, I suspect there's still a few slots. But Rotary is a little broader than that. It's also, besides doing good, it's about 2 other things that help make it a great organization. One is the fact that it's a fellowship organization. A number of people here, I think, have made friends over their period with Rotary that they will never forget and never give up. The other aspect of Rotary that doesn't exist in many other nonprofits is the fact of networking, where you can meet other people in business, expand your horizons, learn, seek mentors, and seek advice. That's what, when we put them all together, that's what we really have. It's a great organization. So indicated, I'm here representing Ron Burton, the international president. I represent him in our district. To give you a little bit of background about the district, we're currently 58 clubs, plus 1 startup club, and we are in 14 different counties. It goes as far west as Boiling Springs Club in Boiling Springs in Cleveland County, next to Gardner-Webb University. So it includes Cleveland County, Gaston County, Mecklenburg. Going east, we go to Union County, Anson County, Richmond County, and the furthest east is Hamlet, a club of 11 members, and who puts on their annual Hamlet Christmas parade in that town. And so, but it's a club of 11 members. And when I went down there, they said, we're small, but we're active. We do a lot of mini projects. They do the same type of stuff we do, but they do it on a little smaller scale. But you don't have to be big to be an active Rotary Club. Going north, we end up in Barris County, Stanley County, Rowan County, then you go up to Iredell, then you take a dog leg to the northwest, and you have Taylorsville. You have Wilkes County, the North Wilkesboro Club. Then you go on over up to Virginia to Ashe County, Allegheny County, which is Sparta. And the furthest club that I have to travel to is Ashe County, Jefferson's, and they meet in West Jefferson. So that's the parameters. We have about 2,900 Rotarians, 58 clubs. We have one club that meets on Saturday. We have about a half dozen that meet in the evening, and the rest are split between lunch and dinner clubs. Every Rotary district, ours is numbered 7680, probably some arbitrary classification, belongs to a Rotary zone. We're part of Zone 33, which consists of Rotarians from North and South Carolina, Virginia, a little bit of East Tennessee, West Virginia, Delaware, and Maryland. Why is the zone significant? Well, it's because we're paired with Zone 34, which is Georgia, Florida, the Caribbean, and a few countries in South America. We're paired together. There are 34 zones in the Rotary world, and our two zones, 33 and 34, elect a Rotary director. That director is currently a woman named Ann Matthews from Columbia, South Carolina. She will be serving the second year for a 2-year term. The director following that will be a guy named Robert Hall from Atlanta Club. He will serve 2 years, and then it will come back to our district, to our zone, that is, and it will be another Rotarian from Zone 33. That's sort of the governance. Then you move on up, and there's the Rotary International Board of Directors, and the Rotary President. And on the other side, you have the Foundation Board of Trustees. And as Katie and John said, the Rotary Foundation is really the heart of Rotary. It's a way that we do good. We raise money, and we spend money on grants to help make the lives of people better that you may never meet. Going back to Ann Matthews a moment, she is also the first female vice president of Rotary. She was appointed by Ron Burton to serve as vice president. And it's my hope, and I've encouraged her to do so, to apply for the job as the next Rotary president in line. Current president's from the U.S. Next president is from Taiwan, Taipei, Taiwan. The next president is from Sri Lanka. Every 3 years, it comes back to the United States. It's my hope that Ann will put her name in the hat for the nominating committee, and I know of no other person eminently qualified in the United States. So there's my little speech about that. But we're very fortunate to have her. She spoke at our our foundation banquet several weeks ago and gave a superb job. If you ever meet her, have a chance to hear her, I encourage you to do so. Every Rotary president has international president has a theme. The theme this year is Engage Rotary and Change Lives. It's a pretty simple theme. As far as I'm concerned, most Rotarians in our district, and particularly in our club, do this. When you engage Rotary, there are two aspects of it. The first part is keeping the club running. The secretary, the treasurer, the executive secretary, sergeant-at-arms, all those people help enable us to have a meeting each week, and we don't really think about it. But if it weren't for them, they wouldn't work. Our club wouldn't work very well. The other side of being an engaged Rotarian is doing good, like collecting for crisis, serving Charlotte Rescue Mission on Christmas morning, the 9/11 golf tournament, which raises money for scholarships for children and public safety officers. All involvement in these events are ways to engage Rotary. I'll even accept the fact that if you write a check to the foundation, you're engaged in Rotary there. In doing so, Ron Burton says, when you engage yourself in Rotary, you change lives. You change the lives of those who you help. And if John doesn't let me sit down too soon, I want to talk about what happened in one of our smaller clubs, how they found out how they engaged Rotary and changed lives of a family they had no idea about. But when you engage Rotary, you do good, you change people's lives. You also, Ron Burton says, change the life of yourself. When you see things, you do things, and you will find that your thinking is a little bit different. Recently, my wife and I had the opportunity to go to Honduras. We were invited by the Rotary Club of Charlotte. That is, I think, a prime example of what that club has done in Honduras for the last 8, maybe 10 years. They provided clean water to 47, I believe, Chortí Indian villages. Chortí Indians are really, I guess, descendants of Mayas. Where we were was in a very area of extreme poverty in western Honduras. And to see what that club has done there, and to hear their story and to observe it firsthand was rather significant. That we also went to view a new water project that they were starting. We met with the water board for the area. We met with the leadership of the area. The leadership advised us, the project is now started since we left, that they had arranged 25 teams of 17 men each to dig and bury the pipes and install the equipment. That's pretty significant involvement, sort of like Habitat for Humanity on a water level. But they provided, since they got started at Gastonia Club, through Rotary Global Matching Grants, money raised by their club, the 47 water to 47 villages. You go to these villages and they're extreme poverty. I told people in my office when I came back that poverty in Charlotte is nothing. It is wealth in Honduras. We were in an area called Copan Ruinas. Copan is one of the 18 states of Honduras. Ruins relates to the Mayan ruins there. A town of about 6,000 people. Very nice people, but even the town itself was not wealthy. A very small upper and middle class, and a very huge poverty class. You go outside the town 5 minutes and you're in the extreme poverty. Gastonia Club, also in connection with Habitat for Gaston County, has helped fund 407 habitat houses in Honduras. We had the opportunity to participate in the dedication of 5 houses. Now, let me give you a little bit of perspective, those of you who work in Habitat here. In Honduras, and well, in the U.S., in Charlotte, a habitat house is a real house. It has a roof, it has windows, it has indoor plumbing, it has a kitchen, it has heating, probably air conditioning. It's a very nice house. In Honduras, the habitat house is a concrete slab with what appeared to be concrete or stucco type walls. There are windows, but there's no windows in the windows. They're open. There's no indoor plumbing. There's no water. There is electricity. And for the cooks here, people who like to cook, there's no indoor kitchen. The kitchen is an overhang of the tin roof in the rear of the house where there are wood stoves. All around you see people carrying limbs because that's what they use to cook with, that wood. It's an entirely different deal. The problem is that's a major improvement over what they were living in, a major improvement. We had the opportunity to participate in the habitat dedication of 5 houses. In Honduras, habitat's a little bit different. In the United States, you pay a mortgage. If you're a family, you put your sweat equity in and you pay off a mortgage. In Honduras, they're so poor that the families can't afford to pay a mortgage, so the houses are gifted. this is what we saw all about. The aim of the Gastonia Club, and I give credit to what I call the power of one Rotarian, a guy named Don Warren, 81 years old, straight as an arrow. He commands presence. He's a little taller than I am. Don in Spanish is a title, so even though that's his real name, I think people really respect him. When he goes in, people stand up. He and his wife have been to Honduras 11 times. This was their 11th trip. He was the one who initiated this. He's provided the leadership. And that shows what the power of Rotary in the world is. Using global grants, partnering with the Habitat of Gaston County, they use their 10% tithe to fund houses in western Honduras. In addition, he's tied into Francis Robichek. We visited a couple medical clinics. This town of 6,000 people, Ruins, and the area around it, has no x-ray equipment in that area. If you're a patient of the doctor, we met with them. We met with both private and public. If you have a serious injury, you go 2 hours to get an x-ray machine, or you go over into Guatemala, basically 7 miles from Guatemala. There's also no hospital. You go the same thing. You go 2 hours to the town of Santa Rosa to the hospital, or you've got to go over into Guatemala. The world is quite different there. But Rotary is making a difference. And I commend Don Warren for being a Rotarian who started it all, and the rest of his club have been very supportive. My wife and I, and that's the whole thing about engaging Rotary, changing lives. To put it in another perspective, this is the Christmas, the Hanukkah, the Kwanzaa season. If you go back to the Gospel of Luke, in which the lawyer questioned Christ as to how do I get to heaven? And Jesus asked the lawyer, what does the scripture say? And being a good lawyer, he said to love God and obey Him, and to love thy neighbor. Christ said that was correct. I think this is what is engaging Rotary is all about, is loving your neighbor. Whether you love them in Charlotte, the rescue mission, or if I love them through crisis assistance, or through the scholarship program, or in Honduras, or in wherever we do work. There are a number of Rotarians who, I like to say, the power of one Rotarian. Several weeks ago, you heard from one, a guy named Roger Ackerman, who powered to start the Parks Program. You also have seen, known, and heard from what I call the power of two Rotarians, Jim and Gloria, and the late Gloria Hens, who work in Altaquima, Peru. She passed away earlier this year of cancer. That is another area of extreme poverty that our district and a number of clubs have worked in, particularly the Dilworth Club. Our club back in 07 and 08 had teams, people that visited Altaquima. Another example of, I say, the power of one Rotarian is in polio. And this started in the Philippines. As you are well aware, I hope, the goal of Rotary is to eradicate polio in the world. And this project got started in the Philippines by one Rotarian whose neighborhood had a lot of kids contracting polio. And he decided to do something about it and applied to the Rotary Foundation for a grant for polio immunization. Don't know if then it was sugar cubes or vaccination, or now the oral vaccine, which is used most of it today. But that's where it started. In 1985, I think, let's say mid-80s, the president of Rotary International said, we ought to make this a project. A lot of people in the health world laughed at Rotary for saying, we're going to eradicate polio. But later they came on board, Centers for Disease Control, UNICEF, organizations like that. Today, polio is still endemic in Nigeria, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, and there are cases of what I call geographically generated polio in Somalia particularly, close to a couple hundred cases there, Ethiopia, Kenya, and it's popped out in Syria. But that's what started. Earlier this year, back in March or April, there was a World Conference on Polio represented by all the players, and they came up with a 5-year plan. Rotary was at the table to eradicate polio in the world by 2018. The cost is $5.5 billion. They raised $4 billion there. Rotary has agreed to raise $35 million a year. That translates out into Rotarians in our district. We're asking each Rotarian or club to give or raise $40 per member to help meet that goal of $35 million. If Martin Waters gives $1 today to polio, some guy named Bill Gates and his foundation will match it with $2. Now, if I can get Martin to write the check for $35 million, we'll be done this year. The Gates Foundation will put up 70, and we're home free until I get her Paris next year to write the $35 million and make it work. But that's how it's being done. Why is it so expensive? Because it's in areas which are very dangerous, very unsanitary, very difficult. Polio workers in the last 12 months have been murdered in Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Nigeria. There is governmental opposition in some cases. There's now governmental support in Nigeria where there didn't used to be. Nigeria is going down. Afghanistan is going down because the Taliban is supporting. Pakistan, unfortunately, is going up. The geographically mobile polio has really broken out first in Somalia and some other cases, Syria, Ethiopia, Kenya. But that's driven by people who are infected with the virus going from one country that has it, probably in this case, Nigeria to Somalia. So that's the big thing. That's why it's expensive. You go giving a vial. You give a kid about 3 drops. I sent John Taylor some information this week about a Rotary National Polio Immunization Day in India. That if anyone wanted to do that, they could go on that trip. That will be in February and actually participate in it. India has almost been polio-free for 3 years, which is a miracle in itself, because it's a country with a lot of problems health-wise. But this is the big deal in the Rotary world. That was the big emphasis at the Rotary Convention in Lisbon that we went to earlier this year. There are other activities that are foundation related in our district that I think you should be aware of, that I've learned about by going and visiting clubs. The Taylorsville Club has a great backpacking program for backpacking. And this is providing kids food they take home over the weekend, and otherwise their families would not have it. The Taylorsville program is led by the Taylorsville Rotary Club, a group of about 40 people. They partner and provide the leadership in Alexander County to do it. In addition, we don't want to forget our own club. I'd say the power of one Rotarian, whose idea started our golf program, and that was John Lassiter after 9/11. He came up with that idea, and we've been carrying it through. Another thing, I think the power of multiple Rotarians, and it's a program that our club has been strong in, and that's the youth exchange program. Going back earlier to Lamar, to Karen Steffens, to Matt Joyner, and now Ed Watchworth, we have been on the cutting edge of doing Rotary Youth Exchange. Also something in our district that we do very well, and I think it's probably one of the best things we do, is our seminar for tomorrow's leader program that occurs generally in July, in which we train high school students with leadership skills. This is a superb program. We have some members in our club who are active with it, who have been mentors, and have helped make this a great success. We that is one of the best things that we do. In addition, down in the eastern part of the district in Wadesboro, there's a guy named Don Alteri, A-L-T-E-I-R-I. And he was a Rotarian that exemplified the power of one. He got started several years ago in Wadesboro, started a science museum and a planetarium in the county, Wadesboro's Anson County. It's a very poor county. To illustrate how poor it does not have a milk store. He left Wadesboro a number of years ago, and I tell people that if we've left the area, it's got severe economic problems, and Anson County does. But that Rotary Club provides the way, sets the way in Anson County, and I was able to participate and observe a classroom of students led by a Rotarian, who's a teacher, in their science center. They supplement what the public schools in Anson County don't have the money to do. This guy, Don Alteri, I hope no one knows him because I'm going to recognize him Thursday night. His Rotary Club is honoring him. We're going to name the center after that. Well, I see John wants to stand up, but I'm not done yet. The last thing I want to talk about is the power of Rotary. Rotary can be very powerful. It makes a difference. In June, I was asked to go visit and install the officers at the China Grove Rotary Club. China Grove is an old Rotary Club founded in December 1937. It used to be 40, maybe 50 members. China Grove was a mill town. You know what happens to the textile mills, they're pretty much dead. It has 11 members. Their oldest member is 95, and I like to say that he's there and he's not in the hospital. But he is one of their faithful members. And they asked me to come up and install their officers. There were maybe 20, at most 25 people there that night. I like to go to China Grove because they need Gary's barbecue, which is a very good barbecue. But we installed the officers. That club also has presented for a number of years 3 scholarships to high school students at 3 different high schools in Rowan County. We did that. We had what I call the grip and grin photo. We were ready to go. The president got ready to ring the bell, and when this woman sitting at the back raised her hand and asked me to speak, and the woman, the president, was rather surprised. When I went back a couple months later, I asked him about it. Did you know anything about this? He said, no, this was entirely unexpected. The woman said, I'm here tonight. My husband asked me to come and to thank this club for the scholarship given to our son, and also to apologize for the fact that he, my husband, couldn't be here. For you see, the woman went on, my husband has been unemployed for 2 years. He finally has a job and he's working tonight, and he sends his regrets because he wanted to be here. As a result of his being unemployed, our family has used up all of our savings. And the lady went on to say that our son would not be going to college this fall except for the scholarship given by this club. And as you might imagine, you could hear a pin drop. No one had any idea of that circumstance. But this is an example of Rotary Rotarians engaging Rotary and changing lives. And I challenge each member of this club to do so. Thank you very much.